Lee, Richard is back from Florida snowbirding, and he's back in New Hampshire.
Oh, goodness. And I'll bet he's got some good stuff to show us this time. We
He's
always
always
look,
got some good
he
stuff to
always
show us.
does. He always does.
And I understand that you've got a few cookbooks to share with us.
And I have some too. Yes, I have some things that I purchased in Florida right under Richard's nose. So,
All right, everybody, the Rare Book Cafe, the book lovers rendezvous. Maybe you should say it.
maybe I should. I'm not sure I can.
All right, the book lovers rendezvous.
You know where to find us.
You'll find us YouTube, Facebook, or everywhere our good podcasts are given away for free. Hello, everybody. You know where you are because you dialed into the Rare Book Cafe, the book lovers rendezvous. I'm here with my co-host, Linn, Ridge Books, Calhoun, Georgia. Hello, Lee.
Hello, Ed, and hello, Richard. We're delighted to have the Road Warrior back with us today.
Well, Richard, you look like you're back. You're back in your warehouse in New Hampshire. You're done snowbirding.
I am done snowbirding, and now I'm just snowing. It snowed when I got back. It's not supposed to be snowing in April.
Oh, you should have stayed gone longer.
Yeah, I could have been playing golf.
That's right.
Retribution.
Yeah, I know.
How's everybody doing? What's everybody up to? Lee, you're looking great.
Well, I spent the weekend with a reunion at Emory University for the Berkeley Forum debate team, which was hosting the National College Debate Tournament this weekend, which went from.
Were you on the debate team?
I was in high school and college. Both.
Why am I not surprised?
I was not probably a hot shot debater, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun, and these were people that I've kept up with for some of them for 60 years. So it was a fun weekend, really was.
And Richard, I know that you have a show coming up in Concord, New Hampshire, the first week of June, right?
I do. I'm looking forward to it. It's an exciting event. I think this is the 47th rendition, so we're really excited.
Have you been involved for 47 years?
And I got gray hair. That doesn't mean I can. No, I haven't done 47 years, but about 25 to 30, someplace in there.
Well, that's quite impressive still.
Yeah, a great buying show. It's always the first weekend of June. It's got a long history of that. People come from around New England to the event. We're excited about doing it. The same old people who are going to be there, as usual. Peter Luke up in the corner with all his ephemera and oh God, there'll be
great
country
and me. I will be there.
Yeah, and Ed, this will be our first time.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, I'm gonna convince him to buy a booth. That's what I'm gonna do.
Well, you know, Richard, we love having you on the show because you always bring us some of the most fun material to look at. What you got hanging around now that you're back up in the Northwest? What do you got on your desk there?
Well, I've always got some little things, Ed, and as usual, I have a little thing. And so Akron, Ohio is always kind of my last venture from my trip south. I do that on the way home, usually Easter weekend, and I was there again this year, and I had the chance to do a little pre-shopping, and I picked this little item up, $5, big event, big expense on my account, But I'd never seen it. And it basically says a pocket anatomist. I don't know what an anatomist was. So I said, well, I should buy it and find out. Well,
Something to do with the anatomy, something to do with the body.
Exactly. It's a pocket. As a matter of fact, it says the pocket anatomist being a summary description of the muscles with a tabular view of our arteries and nerves.
So is this one of those little pieces that were produced for people's home use? So
Well,
they could, I know there were larger, volumes that you could kind of study your own body and
right.
and that kind of thing.
Exactly. It's kind of like a home pocket guide. This was published in Buffalo by George Derby in 1850. And when I showed it to my friend Ron Cozy, who's from Buffalo, he said he'd never seen it. So I knew that I'd found a little treasure. And when I dug into it and I dug deeper, an institution that I revere and love, the American Antiquarian Society, does not show it in its holdings. So I knew that this little $5 book has a good opportunity to
You are magic.
maybe get somebody's bigger collection. And this is an example, Ed. No back cover, but why wouldn't I buy it? No copies online for sale and not in the American Antiquarian.
Good for you.
Yeah, we would have snatched it up.
Yeah. So little things like that, you don't always have to go for the big ones to find something special.
And I once had an anatomy collection. A doctor had a 18th and 19th century anatomy books and medical books, and they go quickly. I probably sold 80% of that collection.
Oh, they do, and they're fascinating, especially the ones that have the fold out bodies. Yeah.
And I get requests frequently for medical and dental, even early dental. So sticking with the theme of small, I don't know if the viewers will be able to see this, but here it is. It's
Admit one free.
Admit one free. It's the Negro Cleveland Company Negro Fair County School Day, 1966.
1966, that was a year after the Civil Rights Act. Hadn't they gotten the message?
Apparently, there was a breakdown in maybe the telegraph line between Washington and Cleveland. I don't know, Ed,
Oh, wow.
Were the schools still segregated in Cleveland at that point?
I don't think
there were schools around here that were, but
66?
66. Cleveland's, isn't that north of the Mason-Dixon line?
Well, they were in Boston too, I think.
I know. Well, Boston was a big...
I don't think Boston desegregated until 69.
Yeah, it was a big issue in Boston.
Nice piece there, Richard.
Yeah, it's a little different. And something that, actually, this comes from where did this come out of a box from? I haven't seen this in so long. I found it. It was stuff that I brought home from Florida that I forgot I had. And then,
very remarkable. You have more things than you forgot you had than most people have.
Yeah, probably true. But this little treasure comes again from my visit to Akron. This is Thomas Jefferson's Parliamentary Procedure for the U.S. Senate, 3rd edition, 1813.
Nice.
A wonderful, I've never had a book published by Jefferson. I don't think it's the rarest of his material, but certainly an unusual piece. I expect to take this with me to the Washington, D.C. show, which is going to be the first weekend.
And I would recommend to all of our listeners, you ever go to Washington, D.C., for me, one of the favorite places is, of course, the Library of Congress. And right up front, they have the recreation of Thomas Jefferson's library, which was one of the most fantastic in America. Part of it was burned and some books were lost, but they've been replaced as faithfully as possible. And it's one of the wonderful exhibits in Washington, D.C.
And they have actually, and I have a copy because I visited that collection. They have a wonderful book. I assume they still have it for sale. I bought my copy probably 15 years ago on the collection itself.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful piece.
And that show in Washington looks like it's going to be a wonderful experience.
I think it is. It's just a couple blocks from the White House itself. And I'm going to forget the name of the club, but it's at a private club. I think it's called the Columbia Club, I want to say. My memory.
I don't remember. We had Edward on a few weeks ago, but I don't remember.
It's
well, you know, there were two things that kept Jefferson in debt his whole life. One was books and the other was wine.
Yes. And I've never known a bookseller to drink wine, so you know.
Yeah, it is hard to imagine.
Richard, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. You've always shown us the most amazing material, and as we get closer, I hope you'll bring out some other booksellers that'll be at the show with you.
I hope to. We're working on that.
All right, Lee, any parting fare thee wells from you this week?
Well, we had mentioned last time that we were going to see what we had bought in Florida. So I've sold one of two things that I was going to show, but I'll show the other one. This goes along with Richard's $5, acquisitions. This is actually a $4 copy of Princess Pamela's Soul Food Cookbook. Back in the 60s, soul food was becoming very popular with restaurants opening like Sylvia's in New York. And Pamela Strobel, who was from South Carolina and who grew up in a family that cooked, opened a very small restaurant called The Little Kitchen. And she the story was that you had to, it was like a speakeasy. You had to be admitted to the premises, and it was frequented by people like Diana Ross and Pearl Bailey, Andy Warhol, Gloria Steinem. She moved to a bigger location in the 80s, and then suddenly in 1998 closed the store and disappeared. Nobody knows if she survived past that or, what the story was.
What?
But this is a first, the book has been reprinted, of course. This is a first edition. They were printed just in paperback, and this is a stated first. And in pretty good shape. There's not, many gravy stains or anything. And each of the recipes has a little comment or a poem or something by Princess Pamela. And so it's a really interesting little cookbook. And as a companion piece to it, I also had, which I've already sold, A Pinch of Soul, which was written by two ladies, one of whom was food editor for Tuesday magazine, but then was, and her name is, oh my goodness, old age is getting to us, Pearl Bowser. And Pearl became she was deeply involved in civil rights movement, particularly with CORE. She also was a collector and filmmaker of African-American related films. And her film collection is now at the Smithsonian African-American Museum, which has been open for several years. And she passed away just a couple of years ago. And at that time, the Smithsonian did a tribute to her. So the book was really interesting because she and her co-writer were shown on the front in it was aimed at entertaining with soul food recipes. It was not your kitchen table soul food. It was your dining room. The two ladies, the authors on the cover, were dressed in little black dresses and pearls. you would never have guessed the way her career went looking at that. They looked like housewives who were going to entertain their husband's clients, this kind of thing. It's a fascinating book, and I was very pleased to have sold it.
Did you
last
mean to
week.
imply that Pamela physically disappeared? I mean, she off the face of the
Physically
earth?
disappeared. Physically
It's
disappeared. Nobody knows
it's
what
an
happened.
unsolved mystery?
An unsolved mystery like Carolyn Wells. Well, not like
Just like
Carolyn
Carolyn
Wells,
Wells.
because we know what happened to her.
Oh.
She just disappeared from the public consciousness. But
The
Pamela
mystery
actually
the mystery of Pamela
Strobel,
Strobel.
Princess
I gotta check this
Pamela.
out.
Yes. So, but her cookbook was reissued recently in 21, I think, by the Lee brothers, who have done other cookbooks and who have been active on the food scene and Southern cookbooks. They have a really good basic Southern cookbook.
So
But,
where did you get this find?
at the Florida Book Fair.
I
It
knew
could
you
have
were gonna
been
say that.
could have been yours. It could have been yours. Actually, Gardner found it. My son found it, knowing that I liked cookbooks and Black
She
related
scooped you,
material.
Richard.
And he scooped you.
And she was
Yes.
in a wheelchair.
I was in a wheelchair. That's right. But I had a picker with me. So I got them that way. So anyway, Princess Pamela is still available. But
Great.
it is a
Thank you,
fun
Linn.
book to read. It's a really fun book to read.
All right, everybody, that's going to wrap it up today. Alan's going to tell you where you can get your Toffee Rare Book Cafe mug. Oh, look at we're twinsies.
We are. I
Yeah.
have mine too.
And we'll see you next time, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Good to see you guys.
Ciao.
Bye.